Everyone, and welcome back to the Together Apart video series. We are in the fourth week of our spiritual practice of Sfirata Omer, of counting the Omer. Now, as a reminder, this is a daily practice of counting the days between the holidays of Passover and Shavuot. For 7 weeks, we count each day along this 7-week journey, where we begin with celebrating our exodus from Egypt on Passover, and we end with receiving the Torah at Mount Sinai, which we celebrate on Shavuot. As part of this counting practice, though, we are also invited to engage in a practice of spiritual self-reflection. Each week, the Jewish mystical tradition invites us to reflect on a different spiritual quality within our souls. This is based on the understanding that the more spiritual reflection and growth that we're able to do before we reach Shavuot, the better prepared we will be able to receive the Torah at Mount Sinai. Or in other words, the better prepared we will be to bring the Torah's wisdom and insight deeply into our lives. Now this week, our fourth week, our tradition invites us to focus on the spiritual trait of netzach, which means endurance, persistence, and triumph. In the Jewish mystical understanding, this trait is about our divine capacity to overcome. It's about overcoming obstacles within ourselves on an emotional or psychological level, whether that's fear or discouragement or regret or sadness. And it's about overcoming obstacles that we face in our external lives, in our work, in our relationships with others, in our efforts to repair the world, and other such things. But as a spiritual quality that brings together our capacity to endure, to persist, and to triumph, we can also understand netzach as the holy drive within ourselves that allows us to persist in attempting to overcome even if we have failed before. We learn in the book of Proverbs, Sheva yipol tzadik v'kam, that 7 times a righteous person falls and gets up. It is true that in our attempts to overcome obstacles as human beings, whether they're within ourselves or external to ourselves, we sometimes, or perhaps even often, fail and we fall. This inner quality of netzach then comes in and says that even if we have fallen before, even if we have failed before to overcome these obstacles, we can still overcome. And even if we fail again, that we will be able to overcome eventually. In spite of the fact that we may have fallen 7 times, netzach comes in and says that we can get up and triumph. That even if we have lost the battle before, that if we are persistent, we will eventually win the war. With this, I want to invite us all to reflect. What is an obstacle within yourself, or an obstacle in your work, or your relationships, or your efforts to repair the world that you are hoping to overcome? And what might it look like to persist in attempting to overcome this obstacle, knowing that even if we have failed before, even if you have failed before, with enough persistence, you will eventually triumph? As usual, I look forward to your responses to these questions. You can reach me at rabbi@bethtorah.org. I look forward to hearing what's on your heart and your mind.